All right, let's get right on into Twig. Welcome to Twig, your weekly geekly family-friendly news show that tackles everything from a real-life Poké motorcycle to TikTok news going from bad to worse with some games in between. If you're listening on the podcast version of the show that actually still doesn't exist, be sure to give us a good review. Click that like on YouTube or come and listen live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you are in the chat, feel free to be able to continue hanging out with us, engaging in the conversation. And one of those ways that you can do that is by answering our first question, which is, what have you been watching? What have you been playing? What have you been reading? What have you been up to over the past week or so since last we gathered for Twig? And I'm actually going to let our guests introduce themselves and start us off with their watch, play, read. Take it away.
Oh, it's me. Hello. I am the Mayfly. I don't do much. Last weekend, I played a lot of BG3 as I let my ferret run around my office. And then I played some more BG3 as I let my ferret run around my office. That was pretty much it.
I love it. Anything watched or read or just played?
No, I don't watch much, and I would love to read more, but my brain is so tired. I work in a semi-customer facing job, so I deal with people all day. And my brain does not sometimes have the capacity for more words, if that makes sense.
I do understand. Maleficent says, oh, you have a ferret.
I do. Her name is Molly Mock, after Critical Role, and she is deaf. She can't hear a word I say.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah. I'm also very jealous of the ferret life. I would love to live that hashtag ferret life, although I've heard they're very stinky. That's always what
Nate, they're not stinky, but you have a toddler already, or close to it, or too close to it around that, so you don't need a ferret because it's basically just like having a toddler.
I don't need any of them, but I just feel like I would love it. I would just love it. Sneaky says watching Shogun, playing Helldivers 2, and reading The Iron Flame. Sneaky and I share in that first one. I am also watching Shogun, and I am head over heels for it. Episode 4 dropped yesterday, and holy smokes, what a great episode. It just keeps getting better and better with each one. I'm so on board. It has been the first Real People show that I've watched in so long, and I'm glad that it is the first one back because it's been really fun and a great ride. And doggone it, I just love feudal Japan. I'm such a weeb, and all of that stuff just immediately syncs up with me. Similarly, although this is a little bit less strictly Japanese, but I've been playing Unicorn Overlord, and I have no idea how long I've been playing it. The timer is weird in this game. If you haven't played it, it is a Fire Emblem-like strategy game, and the way they do time is I think the time only counts. It doesn't count when you're paused. And that doesn't mean like paused like a return to desktop mode. It means like if you're paused in the menu doing things, like if you're sorting out items or if you're buying things, like anything you're doing in a menu, it doesn't count as time towards your save. And so my usual methods of keeping track of time is not working. So I've played at least like 8.5 hours, not counting the time that I've been paused, and the game has not been out very long, and so I'm clearly head over heels for this one. I love the characters, love the play style, and I'm super into everything that Vanillaware touches. I really enjoyed 13 Sentinels, and this gives me a lot of those vibes with character building. However, the story definitely does not feel like it's going to be quite as deep as 13 Sentinels went. The cool thing about this one, and this is for those that are Fire Emblem fans such as myself, what's neat about this game is that you form squads. And so you actually have, like in a normal Fire Emblem game, you would recruit new soldiers into your army. And whenever you would recruit them, you would only have so many, and you would have to do whatever they can do during that time. But with this one, you can build whatever squads you want to build. So if you want every squad to be a flying mount, then you can do that. You just have to make sure the leader of that 6-person squad is a flying mount. So it's really neat in the way that they're playing with the system and doing something different with it. So that is also what I've been up to, Hunter Fan Mom. Thanks for asking that. That's what I've been up to, watching Shogun, playing Unicorn Overlord, and then reading. I just started Margaret Atwood's The Blind Assassin for my 1001 series. So I had never, I've read Handmaid's Tale, and like, I know Margaret Atwood loosely, but this is one that I had never experienced from her. And I've also not read House of Leaves, but this is giving me very similar vibes to what I imagine chunks of House of Leaves are like. I think that House of Leaves maybe was inspired by the kind of storytelling that this one had. So the playfulness of the actual craft of the book is what's neat about this one. So I'm super enjoying it so far. I understand why it's in the 1001 list. It's very confusing and hard to read, but I am having fun with it. Nailhood, I have unlocked 2 taverns at this point. I'm doing all of the side quests, and it's truly going to take up all of my time, probably until Stardew comes out, which is soon, so I really don't have much more time to play it. But with that, that is our watch, play, and read. Let us know what you have been watching and playing and reading in the chat. I'm going to go back just to make sure that I've seen everyone's. Looks like Tennille says watching YouTube, Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. Top of the morning to you, reading Moon Knight comics. Wizened concurrently watching this and Masters of the Air, World War II stuff. Also Blown Away 4, the glass blowing competition show. That is
that sounds intense.
I didn't even know that existed.
How fast can you blow glass?
Right. I feel like I would stress out and just have shattered glass everywhere. Speaking of glass, Maleficent is reading Throne of Glass series on book 3. So very cool. Well, let us know as you continue going, but we're going to get into some of the trending headlines for tonight. We've got a couple of things that happened last week that we want to go over. First up, the Xbox partner preview. We got to look at some upcoming games, some of which looked cooler than others. For the most part, a pretty mid partner preview, but that's kind of just the norm with these. It's just an opportunity to show a bunch of trailers to you in one setting. Unknown 9 Awakening got a release date span of summer 2024. We got to look at a game called Sleight of Hand. It was pretty neat. The one that really fascinated me was a game called The Altars, in which you are like building a sort of moon Mars settlement on a giant wheel, and it's made up of past U's. So each time a new U is made in the game, the old U's take over the habitation, and then you have to be the like arbiter and controller of the relationships that begin to form in the stress between the past U's that exist. It's fun. It looks like an interesting concept, and in its very least, I like where it's going. Creatures of Ava is coming out in 2024. It is a new monster catcher, only it is a like eco monster catcher where instead of, much to the chagrin of Gobi Church, where the monster catcher is like trapping the monsters, this is one where you're sort of Snow Whiting them into your like posse of animals. And so looks pretty interesting. We saw that Roblox is going to be getting Chucky. Still have no idea where that one came from. Real out of left field, at least for me. The Sinking City is getting its sequel, and we officially got a range of time for it. It has been confirmed to be released next year. Final Fantasy XIV Online, A Realm Reborn is officially coming to Xbox on March 21st, so fans of that one can expect that. Stalker Legends of the Zone trilogy is getting a remaster and release on Xbox before Stalker 2 comes out, I think next year. It may be this year, but I'm pretty sure it's next year. Monster Jam Showdown is a new monster truck game coming out in 2024. Persona 3 Reload. This was one that was very exciting. Out of nowhere was revealed that we were not only getting DLC for Persona 3 Reload, but that we were also getting a brand new DLC. So this is not additional content from the original release. This is totally new content, which is pretty exciting for fans of that particular Persona series. We also got another look at the first Berserker Kazan, but no date yet. Tales of Kenzara Zhao is coming out April 23rd. Some of you may remember the dev of that talking about the game during the Game Awards, making that game for his dad. Frostpunk 2 has officially got a release date of July 25th, so fans of Frostpunk that have computers that can handle it, which is not mine, that is coming out on July 25th. And then a really interesting one, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess 2024, is a new twist on the tower defense game, in which you are going around a town trying to get the princess from point A to point B. During the day, you're doing all the things that you can to recruit soldiers, put them in the right path, kind of like towers, and then at night, the monsters come and you have to get the princess from point A to point B. Looks interesting enough. Fun little art coming out this year. Any of those grab your attention? Mayfly.
Well, so here's the thing. I never got into the Sinking City because I played Call of Cthulhu first, and that was terrible. And then Sinking City came out, and I was like, this just looks like Call of Cthulhu again. And that was bad. And I played that all the way through, and it was real bad. So I don't know that I'll ever play the first one to go in and play the second one. And then, but Tales of Kenzara looks really good. And the only reason I say that is because I've seen Neil Newbin do a lot of press with it. And that is the voice actor who played, what is his name, from Origins. That he made a studio.
Okay.
I think that's him. I'm fairly certain that that's him. I'm gonna Google it right now. I think that that's him. Or, yeah, Assassin's Creed Origins. Yeah, he was Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. Then he went off and he made his own studio. So that
well,
is
he
interesting.
he was very genuine and very like transparent and vulnerable in his Game Awards presentation.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was super sweet to see the kind of homage that he's wanting it to be, and then it's a Metroid, so I'm totally down for that anyway.
Yeah. So that one looks really cool.
I think that'll be fun. And it's coming out really soon, so it's got a nice close release date. I thought that was a good kind of final push for that one. I hope it gets wishlisted and done what needs to be done. Any others?
Not really, honestly, not really. I'm so okay. This is gonna sound really sad because I'm not that old. But the older I get, the more picky I get. I've always been really picky about games. I didn't grow up really with games. We had like hand-me-down Game Boys and stuff. But the older I get, the more picky I get. And so maybe it's because I just don't always have money for stuff. But it's like, if I'm going to put my money towards something, I want to know that I want to play it. And I'm going to have a lot of good, hours with it. And if I'm not 100% sure,
even beyond money, I think we have to be more shrewd with our time the older that we get too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's always tricky. Like I thought about, we have Little Gator Game, which is our current Button Bash Brigade game. And I finished that today. And I was asking one of our level 2s, Twyla, like, should I 100% it? Because it makes it very easy to 100% it after you beat the story and roll credits. But I was like, to be honest, I just don't have the time. Like I'm trying to play all these other games, trying to get all these other things done. And like, unless it's a really good ending, I just don't have it in me. So you just gotta be real and honest.
My brother was showing me, what was it called? Grass of Genesis. There was some trailers and stuff that released for that recently, which just honestly, he was really hyped about it, which is like cool, but it's not coming out for a while, but it really just looks like another variation of Tomb Raider to me. And I've got Lara. And that's all I need. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting too picky in my senile old age. I don't know.
Well, I think it definitely does come down to shrewdness and a matter of figuring it out. And some days are easier than others, and some years are easier than others with more time. So that is the way that it goes. Let us know, folks, if any of those games interested you, if you enjoyed that partner preview. We're going to move on to another day worth of announcements for Mario Day. March 10th is Mario Day each year, and they decided to announce some cool Mario stuff, except some of it is pretty just okay, and then one got me pretty excited. The new version of the Super Mario Brothers movie, I don't know if they're going to be calling it New Super Mario Brothers Movie. I don't know what they're going to call it, but it got teased that it is coming out April 3rd, 2026. I don't know why people insist on doing that. Why do we have to give a date? Why can't we just say 2026 or just don't even say a date until we get a little closer? Because that is so far away. Why do we even have to talk about it? But whatever. The 1,000-Year Door officially got its release date of the remaster coming to the Switch on May 23rd. Luigi's Mansion 2 is also getting its HD remake on June 27th. We got to look at 3 new games, pretty good games, coming to the Nintendo Switch online service for the Game Boy. Dr. Mario, Mario Golf, and Mario Tennis. Can't wait to queue those up, play exactly 1 round of each, and then never look at them again. And then the final announcement that was quite exciting for me. If you are enjoying Lego Mario as I am, maybe you've been hoping for the next big thing. You've kind of enjoyed the Donkey Kong promotions. You've enjoyed the little bit of things happening. But the coolest thing for me is that the next round of Lego stuff from Mario in 2025 is going to be Mario Kart. And I'm super amped. I can't wait to build a Mario Kart course in Lego. I think it's going to be so much fun. Did any of those get your attention, Mayfly?
See, here's the thing. I wish. See, when the second one, when you said 1,000-Year Door, my brain put an H in front of it and did the abbreviation for How to Train Your Dragon, and I knew that that's not at all where you were going.
Yes, well, as you would think, Mario Day, they would certainly be announcing How to Train Your Dragon. That would be the only thing they would announce on that day.
Baruchel is Hiccup, okay? That's all I need in my life, okay?
The only relation there is that the remake of How to Train Your Dragon is never going to be the lead, is going to be played by Chris Pratt. That's the only overlap we're going to have there.
I would cry.
I feel guilty for even putting that into the ether.
I think I would cry. And if America Ferrera is somehow not Astrid, it's just like an older mom version, I think I would also cry. Anyways, I just, like, Mario, I played, OG Mario Kart. That was cool. I'm not a big Switch person, and all these things are coming out, and I didn't see the Super Mario Brothers movie. I didn't really want to. Like, I guess Mario wasn't really as big of a staple in my childhood. I didn't play my first Zelda game until I was, I don't know, 11, 12, maybe 13. And that was Ocarina of Time on the 3DS.
Oh, wow.
And I played a little bit of it on the original console at a friend's house, but when I first played it the full way through was on the 3DS when it released, and I got it for Christmas, right? So I just don't have the Nintendo connection that a lot of people do when it comes to these sorts of things. So it's like, that's cool. Congrats.
That's an interesting insight, especially we did a thing the other day. I've started using our YouTube community tab more. And so I asked people on our YouTube community, what was your first, or what console do you have the most loyalty to between like the big three, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox? And Nintendo was definitely the biggest, which I found interesting in and of itself in kind of the modern world that we're in. But also, I mean, you got to remember, it was the biggest, but it wasn't the only one. There are people that have other consoles that they grew up with and that they were more familiar with. And so Mario Day is certainly one for the Nintendo fans. And I do see in the chat, we've got some people excited about Luigi's Mansion 2 coming out, which is good, which is neat stuff to see a little bit of a rekindling of that. I do think the Switch is in its kind of death throes of re-releasing remasters and that kind of thing. So I'm ready for this era to end, but I'm curious enough to see what they decide to do next. I was, of course, hopeful for some kind of tease for the next Switch, but I knew it wouldn't happen on Mario Day. I was just hopeful for it. We'll continue to push that one off into the future. But do let us know in the chat, folks, what you're excited for as far as Nintendo is concerned. If any of those got you curious, if you've been enjoying the Lego Mario stuff as I have, if you plan on playing those Nintendo Switch online games one time like me, or if they'll become a new part of your repertoire. I know Buish for a while there was a big proponent of NSO and like constantly playing it and logging those hours on those retro games. And it ain't, I'm not that guy, pal. I can't do it. As much as I want to, I could never get into them. But do let us know your thoughts there in the chat. We're going to get into some of the harsher news for our cookie experience here of some of the harder news to hear. Bobby Kotick, former Activision CEO, is reportedly eyeing the acquisition of TikTok from ByteDance amidst discussions of a potential ban or forced sale of the social media platform in the U.S. due to concerns over data privacy with its Beijing-based parent company. Kotick, known for his tenure at Activision Blizzard, which was marked by the success of franchises like Call of Duty and Overwatch, as well as controversies over workplace practices, is said to be considering this massive purchase with a price tag in the hundreds of billions of dollars. He is reportedly seeking partnership with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, aiming to leverage TikTok for AI model training if the acquisition goes through. This comes at a time when TikTok faces legislative challenges in the U.S. with a unanimous committee vote pushing a bill that could ban or force the sale of the platform, a bill President Biden has expressed willingness to sign. Kotick's move towards TikTok signals a potential new chapter for the executive following his departure from Activision amidst its acquisition by Microsoft and subsequent legal settlements related to workplace culture issues. I hate all of this. There's nothing about this that I am happy about.
And I'm not even a TikTok person. I don't like this, specifically for who he is and the fact that he was head of the company during a lot of their harassment lawsuits. If y'all know what I'm talking about when I say those words. Because ChatGPT, I think, is what you use for these summaries sometimes.
Yes, it's always what summarizes them, and it always does a little bit.
Very nice. They were very nice.
Does a little bit too much glamming up there.
Yeah, ChatGPT was very nice. I would not have been as nice, so thankfully I don't write these summaries, right? Like I said, I'm not a TikTok person. I'm not really a social media person. I don't agree with any one person, especially that type of person who was in control of a huge company like Activision during lawsuits and settlements such as those, having control over an application that is so drawing for young women in particular. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of harm that can be done. I think that what is so bizarre about this is not the first time that TikTok has come under fire and tried to be banned in the US. And it certainly is banned, I think, in some other countries. So it's a weird app. It's a weird thing that has continued to, for some reason, have weird controversy behind it. I know that ByteDance is behind it. I know that there's a lot of political implications behind foreign relations. However, that is not the only thing ByteDance does. I don't know why we always insist on focusing on that one thing, and why. I guess it's just because of the total like nature of it. But it is such a bizarre like bait and switch of, we're going to take away TikTok from the people that made it and are clearly doing their best to maintain a sense of privacy and work with US in the forms of the foreign relations. And instead we're going to give it to Lex Luthor. And also we're going to use it for AI model training.
Well, the banning bill is really weird too, because I've heard, and I stay mostly out of the news aside from TWIG and game news, but the banning bill itself is really weird too, because it's very restrictive from what I've heard and read in terms of, you ban something like TikTok and it gives legal reasons to ban other types of things, such as certain types of war games and things of that nature. And don't take my word with a grain of salt. It's just based off of, article headlines. But like the wording is very specific, if you catch my drift.
Yeah,
right. It leaves the doors open. It's very strange wording, and it leaves the doors open for things to go further than they need to go. Right. So it's just very odd. Right.
There's clearly a lot going on here that we aren't going to be privy to until things happen. Hopefully this will be just like last time and everything will fall by the wayside, and it'll be proved that TikTok can't be taken down like this, and that the fallout of it would not be worth it. But at the very least, this was a disheartening duo to see back up behind this thing that I use every single day. I mean, I really am a fan of TikTok. I like what they do. They are a bit addicting, but if you manage it well, I think it's a fine app, and it definitely has revolutionized the way that we consume content, which is an aspect of how we do ministry. So we're doing good with it. Yeah. I'm not saying everybody is, but the whole thing is just very bizarre and more political than we typically would get on TWIG, where we cover more gaming news. But it's important stuff because it very much relates to our lives as digital natives. And obviously, we do not want somebody that is a known harmer of people to continue working in the industry. And AI is a questionable thing still. And so we don't really have the place to say, like, maybe this is not the right thing right now. We'll see where it continues to go and how this story continues to develop. But hopefully this will be a non-starter and that we won't have to hear Bobby Kotick's name for a much longer time. With that, we're going to get into our another bummer news story. Warner Brothers Discovery's decision to delist a number of games published by Adult Swim Games has stirred significant concern among developers, leaving some feeling sick and dizzy at the prospect. Games like Sound Dodger Plus and Fist Puncher are set to be removed from digital storefronts, a move that follows the delisting of other titles like Small Radio's Big Televisions. Developers have reached out to Warner Brothers requesting the transfer of their games to their own Steam accounts to keep them active. But these requests have been denied due to a stated inability to perform such transfers for all games and a desire to be fair by not transferring any. The situation has sparked widespread alarm among developers, especially those who haven't yet been contacted about delisting but fear their games could be next. The issue is compounded by the fact that relisting games would result in losing all previous Steam reviews and requiring the removal of all mentions of Adult Swim, further complicating the preservation and continued success of these games. This ordeal highlights a broader concern over the fragility of digital game preservation and the impact of corporate acquisitions on the gaming industry's creative works. And this is not where it ends with Warner Brothers either. We're going to continue talking about them.
No, it is not. I was just about to say that. I was going to say, Warner Brothers has been kicking some things down.
It really started last year with Batgirl. Like ever since Batgirl, it feels like Warner Brothers has been continuing to really dig themselves into a hole of serious public distress and real dislike.
I mean, to be fair, the next one that I'm about to talk about has been coming for a while. I'll tell you all some personal stories about that one. That's why I picked it. But yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of the Adult Swim games have been really popular. They're making some moves in the middle of everybody else making some moves. Unfortunately, they're not ones that we want to see.
What I think is so
So,
disappointing about this is whenever I think of Adult Swim games, I think about indie games and then I think
yeah,
about themed games. And so like you're going to have the like Pocket Mortys, right? You're going to have the
yeah,
games that are like clearly Adult Swim games. But then you're going to
yeah,
have games that are like Duck Game, where it's like this is an indie developer that got their chance because of Adult
yeah,
Swim. And it's so disappointing to me to see like the corporate ones, whatever. Like I don't really have too much. I'm sure that people worked hard on them, but there's like the indie people that have made these games their dream that we see often get supported by like Devolver, and we see like indie developers and indie publishers really support. And it's so clear that either Adult Swim had no say in this, or that for some reason the personal relations between the publisher and the developer here are really just miserable and just disappointing. So I'm hopeful that we see Devolver say something. I would love for them to say something about this and be like, we value our relationships with our developers. And if this happens, we would do this. Like, I don't have the ability to call out to Devolver and say, you should make that promise, but you should make that promise. We need to hear from indie publishers right now that there is support for indie gaming, because I am a long form proponent of indie games. And I think that the stuff that they are able to do is incredibly impressive. And I want to see more support, not anything like this. The fact that not only are they not supported, but even whenever they reach out for support, they're denied support. That is so corporate and disgusting. And I want to see better. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful we see some kind of response from some of the indie publishers out there. But all in all, this has just been a really weird time from Warner Brothers and a really strange series of events, which will bring us directly into our
yep,
next article about the continued fallout from Warner Brothers.
yep. So, for those of you who have been on the internet a while, like I have, maybe you didn't do a dumb thing like I did and move to a specific location in the United States for this particular company, but maybe you did. I don't know, maybe you're just like me. But after 21 remarkable and I would say for me life-changing years, Rooster Teeth, the innovative production company behind iconic series such as Red vs. Blue, Ruby, now Genlock, I'm going to add to the ChatGPT script here, Nate, is shutting down as of March 6th, I believe. This decision comes after Warner Brothers Discovery, its parent company, was unable to find a buyer for Rooster Teeth amidst broader challenges, quote unquote, within digital media related shifts in consumer behavior, which was the official part that they put out, platform monetization, and advertising revenues. In a heartfelt memo, General Manager Jordan Levin reflected on Rooster Teeth's legacy, emphasizing its pioneering role in online video, digital content, and community engagement. Despite this closure, discussions are underway to sell the rights to Rooster Teeth's beloved animated series. The Rooster Teeth Podcast Network, another Rooster Teeth Initiative network, remains operational for the time being as Warner Brothers Discovery explores potential sales. This closure marks the end of an era for a company that not only entertained millions, myself included, worldwide, but also pushed the boundaries of digital and interactive media, leaving a lasting impact on the industry and its community. Y'all, I chose this one because it's very personal to me. I picked up and moved my entire life at 18 in the hopes that I would one day work for Rooster Teeth. My whole life I picked up at 18 in the hopes that I could get my game design degree and work for Rooster Teeth. And you know what happened while I was in college getting my game design degree? They had to shut down their game dev operations. Ruined me. Absolutely ruined me. But I still had hope. I was like, I'm going to get my game design degree. I can maybe go and be an intern with Ruby or something. And then COVID happened. And then there were no internships. And then there was nothing. And then I barely graduated with the skin of my teeth. But they were such, and I had a friend who did the same thing, who picked up everything from where we lived and, you know, moved for the same reason, right? Rooster Teeth was so influential for us and so impactful for us. And that was in its golden years, right? But there have been a lot of things that they've not been able to recover from. The Ryan Haywood scandal specifically is one thing I can call out. It's just something they were not ever able to recover from. It really ruined them. And I kind of always knew this day was coming, But when I found out last week, it was kind of like, whoa. Just whoa.
Yeah,
21 years.
Final nail in the coffin situation.
Yeah, that's just wild to think about. It definitely sucks, but it makes sense. Markets are changing, things are changing, and they had things that they could never come back from. That the world, honestly, in certain circumstances, rightfully so, would not let them come back from. And to go to what is being said in chat right now, yeah, a lot of employees found out on social media rather than from Warner Brothers themselves. Funhouse did a stream day of, the RT podcast did a stream day of to just address things because they found out the same day that the rest of the world found out. That to me is so disrespectful. And that sucks. But it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. But it's sad. And I'll get off my soapbox.
No, I think that it's important.
But I wanted to
express.
say all of that because it was very personal to me, and so that's why I picked this story.
Absolutely. Well, and I think this is an iconic franchise. I think that it's a YouTube franchise, even though they certainly have had times where they've done more on their website. But I remember my first experience with Rooster Teeth. I never really followed them. You know, I watched some like, oh, hey, thanks for the raid, Trombone.
Hey, Trombone.
That.
You came at a sad time, but thanks, friend.
And I did see Trombone was playing Ace Attorney, and I got real sad that I wasn't there. So I'm glad that you're here and not playing Ace Attorney because I want to be there when you're playing Ace Attorney. Anyway, so I never really followed Rooster Teeth with the exception of like some Red versus Blue back in the old days.
Yeah.
But then I never caught on with Ruby. I sort of never kept up with any of the Rooster Teeth stuff until they bought out, or not bought out, but hired in some sort of situation, Sugar Pine 7, which was a YouTube series that I loved and like got
they
super.
Published the first bending.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did not.
They published the first Bendy and the Ink Machine.
I believe it. So they had a lot of those connections. They had those like publishing connections and those hiring connections and contracting connections. They did a lot of important work for YouTube. So I almost thought that this article, mentioned that they've impacted millions, but I would argue they've impacted more than just millions. Yeah. I think they have had a huge impact on the internet entirely, even through people that you didn't know were affiliated. And Bendy is a great example, right? I mean, that's an iconic horror game series, and so people are going to absolutely have a connection to that and not even realize there's a connection to Rooster Teeth.
I think it still says Rooster Teeth Games on it when you load it up for the first time, and that's going to be there forever. And that's wild. Looking at it for a longtime fan was crazy when Bendy first came out. It was like, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe they have this. And it was so exciting. And now looking at it here in 2024, after all of this, anytime I play that game now, it's going to be so sad. Yeah,
it is definitely a rough time for YouTube in general and for a lot of content creators, but we've always known that YouTube has not been respected by the C-suite world. And so this is not surprising to see them being disrespected. It is a bummer, but as you said, scandals tend to tear apart this. I hope that the creators are able to still move on to doing good things, whether those things are in the public eye or whether they are just doing things that they've had a passion for that they've not been able to do because of their tie to Rooster Teeth. Whatever it may look like for them, I wish the best for those employees, for those visionaries, and for the people that have been there. And I hope that they're able to preserve any of their history and to do the kind of work that Adult Swim is having trouble doing with, that's game preservation, but media preservation is also equally important in this digital age. So,
I mean, they had David Tennant doing VO for Genlock. Come on, y'all. And David Tennant. Come on.
They've got some stuff that needs to be preserved well. And I should say, I want to highlight both the Adult Swim. So Twyla also linked the Adult Swim thing over in our new Twig News section over on our Discord, which I'll talk about in a minute. But if you want to go to Twyla's link, Twyla linked a full list of the Adult Swim games that are being delisted. So I'd encourage you to check that out. And then I will try to remember to post the Rooster Teeth article if somebody hasn't already. But hopefully you can go and check that out and read that letter from Jordan Levine, because it's very good, and I think that would be worth your time.
I'll do it. That's fine. So, I'll do it in the 2025
Thank you. I
got it.
appreciate that. So if you want to check that out over in the Discord, we're going to get into one last piece of sad news. I promise this is the last one. All the Discords
So sad.
are pretty good news. This one is one that's particularly rough for me, but the world has lost a monumental figure in the anime and manga community with the passing of Akira Toriyama at the age of 68. Far too young. Toriyama, celebrated for creating the iconic Dragon Ball series and his influential work on Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger, died from an acute subdural hematoma. His legacy encompasses over 45 years of creativity, touching the lives of fans and inspiring a generation of creators worldwide. Bird Studio and Capsule Corporation Tokyo shared their profound loss, noting Toriyama's enthusiasm for ongoing projects and his unmatched contribution to the arts. Toriyama's groundbreaking series Dragon Ball not only set the standard for the shonen genre, but also paved the way for successors like One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. Beyond manga, his artistic vision helped shape seminal video games, contributing to the creation of Chrono Trigger, a masterpiece in gaming. Up until his passing, Toriyama remained actively involved in the development of new projects, including character designs for the upcoming Dragon Ball Daima series. His creative spirit and contributions to manga, anime, and gaming have left an indelible mark, ensuring his beloved creations will continue to inspire and entertain for generations to come. So this is hard news for me. I am a diehard Dragon Ball fan. Dragon Ball was very much my very first foray into the world of anime. I was a visionary and a storyteller. I compared him to my Mr. Rogers over on my Facebook kind of ode to him. Mayfly, do you have anything that you would like to add? I also am going to play the video from the end of this last episode's Nerdy Sermon, so we don't need a ton of cushion space for this one.
I know of Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest. I have not experienced them.
Sure. His art style is pretty immediately notable. You would see it and you'd be like, okay, that's Chrono Trigger art. Like it's one of those style choices, I think.
Yeah. That's it. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
That's all I got.
No, you're all good. So I'm going to mute for just a second. If you didn't watch the end of our latest Nerdy Sermon, I put in just a little ode to Toriyama at the end there. So we're going to play that real quickly. And then when we get back, we will go to everybody's favorite game. But before then, this is a way of honoring the life of Akira Toriyama. Thank you for watching. I did want to just take whatever platform I do have here and just express my intense condolences and sadness over the passing of Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball and character designer of Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest and Dr. Slump and Blue Dragon and all sorts of things. Toriyama shaped my childhood. Toriyama was my childhood. I don't know that Checkpoint Church would exist. I don't know that Nerd Pastor Nate would be a thing. I don't know that any of this would have happened without Akira Toriyama. He was the flame that sparked it all, that started everything, that has gone into this wildfire that is the nerddom menagerie that is me. On our streams, we have people, as one of the rewards, you can collect Dragon Balls. I have the full set of Dragon Balls, and I wish that I could use them to bring him back because he was young. He was really, there have certainly been people that have gone younger, but he was young and had so much more potential. I'm excited to see what his successor is able to do and how they continue to shape this in his legacy, but I'm just sad, man. I'm just sad. It's a real bummer. I looked up to and aspired to be like Toriyama and to tell the kind of story, the kind of lasting story, and to have the kind of impact that he had. I envy that. And I cherish that. Anybody that's able to create that much of a world and affect that many people, I think that's exceptional. And my condolences to those that care about him. Normally you wish condolences to family, but I feel like for most of us nerds out there, Akira Toriyama was family. So my condolences to you, friends. To the nerds that are in mourning like I am, I hope that you come out of this okay. And I hope you're able to see the power of story that Toriyama was able to present to all of us, because that is the life-changing power of story that I so deeply believe in, that I do here on this channel. These nerdy sermons, yes, even they are inspired by Toriyama because I believe in the power of story to change our lives. Thanks for watching to the end of this one, and go in peace. All right, so there we go. That is our little message of hope for those that love Akira Toriyama. I appreciate you for watching through that with me and allowing me that point of personal privilege to share. So yes, With that, we will take a total tonal shift into the happier half of the show. I know we've talked about a lot of heavy stuff. We've talked about a lot of uncomfortable stuff, challenging things, and then sad things, and a lot of all of that. So now we're going to get into some more positive and exciting and fun things, including everybody's favorite segment of the show, Cryptic Critiques. That's right, it's time for Cryptic Critiques. So for those of you that have never been with us before, Cryptic Critiques is a game that we do here on the show where I'm going to be offering up 1-star reviews of arguably 5-star games, or at least much beloved games. And based off of those reviews, I'm going to see if our special guest can guess what that game is, to see if they can get it, when they can get it. And I'll also encourage you in the chat to play along, but do save your guesses until after Mayfly is given a full-on chance to offer up her final guess. So you can even type them in the chat and not hit send until after Mayfly has given it the old college try. But this is one of our favorite games here on the show, and I always enjoy playing it. Are you ready, Mayfly?
I'm concerned because you didn't know that I was going to be here until
It's true.
until a
That
little
is
bit.
very
and
true.
Usually you tailor these.
Yeah, I
To
do.
the
There's a
person.
chance you may have no idea what's about to happen.
But you usually tailor these, and so I'm concerned I'm gonna have no idea.
We will find out together.
Okay, great.
I think you're going to get it just fine. We're going to start off with our first prompt. Prompt number 1. Again, this is a 1-star review of a beloved game. If an indie game is a love letter to anything, run the other way. If an indie game is a love letter to anything, run the other way. All right, based off of that one alone, are you getting an image? You at least know some facts here about this.
It's an indie game. It's an indie.
It's an indie.
That
You've got a
could mean
solid
lot of
start.
things, though.
There's
That
only
could mean a lot of things.
so many of those.
I was gonna say there's only 10 million of those. Thanks.
Right. There's at least 950 on my Steam account just from Humble Bundle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All of those. All right.
Okay. Nothing yet, but continue.
Nothing yet. This may give it away right here. Prompt number 2. The best art in any game I've ever played, and I hate it. The best
that
art
is subjective.
in any game I've ever played, and I hate it. So we know it's an indie with the best art in any game ever played, but also a pure, unfathomable hatred.
That's so person to person.
Right?
But if they hate it, but I love it. Do you know that I've played this game?
I do not know your thoughts on this game at all. I have
but do
no
you know
idea.
if I've played it?
I don't know. No clue.
Do you know that if I know about it?
You should. I would be very surprised if you didn't.
Okay. Interesting. Continue.
All right. The final prompt is the final 1-star prompt for a much beloved game. Prompt number 3. The worst game of all time while I'm playing it. But when I beat a boss, it's a masterpiece. The worst game of all time while I'm playing it. But when I beat a boss, it's a masterpiece.
Indie game. Good art. Worst game. Well, I'm your boss. It's a masterpiece.
Trombone has 0 clue. Trombone, I do not think you would like this game. If you do know what this game is, I don't think you should play it.
Run the away. Best
With
art
grace and
game
peace.
that I played and I hate it. The worst game of all time while I'm playing it, but when I be a boss, it's a masterpiece. Okay. So is it a 2D?
I guess I can give hints. Sure. Yeah, it is.
Okay. I don't know that I've played it.
Thank you, Bailey, for that bit. I appreciate it. That's a bit for good luck. That's a bit for good luck for you, Mayfly.
Thanks. I don't know that I'm gonna get it, Bailey. I'm so sorry.
All right, for those in the chat, while Mayfly is thinking, I'm going to go over them again. Prompt number 1. If an indie game is a love letter to anything, then run the other way. Prompt number 2, it's the best art in any game I've ever played, and I hate it. Prompt number 3, it's the worst game of all time while I'm playing it, but when I beat a boss, it's a masterpiece.
It can't be what I'm thinking of because those games are really well loved.
I can already tell you that it's not if you said games.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it.
Helpful. So it's a solo game.
It is indeed.
It's an on its own thing.
It's its own thing. It really is
It's its own thing.
That's
It's
very
2D.
true.
It's got good art, but some people hate it. It's really hard, and it's an indie. Oh, I don't know. You know how many games it could be?
I will. All right. Do you want to give in, or do you want to take one solid guess? Take a big swing.
Oh man, let me look at my Steam library. Hold up, because chances are it's in there, and I've never played it.
Trombone now thinks they know it, or at least has paused the chat.
Okay, Trombone's paused the chat. Trombone thinks that they know. There's no way it's that one because I don't think anybody knows that one exists.
Oh, people know this game
Know that one exists. Yeah, okay. If people know this game exists, it's definitely not that one. No, I don't know. I don't know.
No guesses. Anybody in the chat?
This will be my first Cryptic Critiques that I will have. I will have.
You're going to be
pinching
yourself. You're going to be pinching yourself.
Am I?
It is not Hollow Knight, but that's a great guess, Trombone. No, and Perry was wrong on all three too. Maybe I made this too hard. I thought this was pretty easy. Did that inspire anything?
Maybe.
Nailhead's got it.
Is it? I was going to say that was going to be my guess. Yeah.
It is indeed Cuphead.
Yeah. Because I started playing Cuphead on Switch and I could not get past it because I hated it.
Congratulations to Nailhead. Nailing it. Chat's in the clap.
Good job.
Great job. Yes, this is a obvious love letter to the classic rubber band cartoons, which they say if it's a love letter, run away. It's the best art in any game. It is undeniably a very well crafted art experience, but it is such a challenging game that so many people hate it so very much.
Yeah,
I don't particularly love it, but I do think that it's a fine game.
I like this better when they're tailored to me.
Of course. Don't we all? Well, good job, everybody. And thanks to Mindful Marlena for those 100 party bits for Nailhead. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Nailhead.
Yes.
Thanks for getting it right where I failed.
Hollow Knight is a great guess. I don't think I've done Hollow Knight yet, but now maybe I'll throw that one in the future because that would be a good one to see. I don't think anybody hates Hollow Knight, though. I think that's like universally beloved. It'll be a challenge. It'll be a challenge to find somebody that hates that game. But
you're talking about failing the game or failing this game? Which game are you talking about?
Yeah, probably Cuphead. It's an easy game to fail at.
Probably
and it's very fun to rage with.
Trombone could be talking about watching me fail this. That also could be what Trombone's talking about.
That could be true. With that, folks, we're going to get into our next segment of the show. That's right. This is To the Discord. We're going to be talking about some news that you submitted. Yes, we have a section now in our Discord under our stream section called TWIG News. Every Monday, I'm going to post in there what news have you heard about that you think TWIG should talk about. And then you have the opportunity to post articles. And the best articles that are posted there, I will be sure to look through and we'll pick 3 of them to talk about in every single episode of TWIG that we do. So our first news story is from Nailhood, appropriately enough, our winner of our Cryptic Critiques. Toyota has made headlines by creating a real-life version of a Pokemon, but it's not what you might expect. They've designed a functional motorcycle inspired by Miraidon, a legendary Pokemon from the latest Scarlet and Violet video games. This project, led by Toyota's in-house engineering society, isn't aimed at production, but rather serves as an innovative experiment. Motorcycle, which visually resembles Miraidon, including a set of LED eyes, is likely powered by an electric powertrain, though specific details about its propulsion remain a bit of a mystery. While the bike doesn't fly like its game counterpart, it is a fascinating showcase of creativity and engineering prowess. This initiative demonstrates Toyota's commitment to fostering a creative and experimental environment for its engineers, even if it doesn't directly impact the company's product lineup. I included a picture there of the bike that is Miraidon. I think it's super fun. Yeah, since the other one doesn't actually use the wheels and just gallops and also is the lesser than. We all know Miraidon is goated and Koraidon not so much. But it does look pretty cool. It's a neat little thing that they've done here. I love that the article felt the need to say that this wasn't actually being mass produced. Like, duh. Of course, this is not going in Toyota's lineup. I really don't think we needed to say that, but hey, I guess maybe that needs to be said. But yeah, it looks dope.
It looks terrifying and dangerous, but that's cool.
You've barely scratched the surface in Pokemon Violet, says Tennille. I love Scarlet and Violet. I'm a fan of them, even though many aren't. I think they're great games, even if they aren't the most polished games we've ever seen in our lives. They were super fun for me, and I think this is just a neat thing to see done. Often, what I feel like you see in I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a like, what are they called? A gear junkie or something that like loves cars and motorcycles and that kind of things. I'm not that kind of person, but I do keep up whenever they do nerdy things. And often the way that they look it's like a skin placed onto like a Mini Cooper. And so to see somebody take their own like take on a motorcycle and create something from the ground up, I think this is super cool. And I think this is a neat thing that is fun and creative, and I like it. So 2 thumbs up from me. It doesn't drive. Yeah, that's like, again, I think that somebody could make it drive. Somebody could get it, if not street legal, at the very least mobile. And then some billionaire will buy it and they'll keep it in their mansion, and we'll just have, it'll be like, who was it? What movie was it that was about nerds that it was, what's his name? John Lovitz. John Lovitz owned Kit from Knight Rider. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but collectors will collect this thing, and it'll be. With that, take it away with our next story. Bench warmers. That's totally it, Tennille. Pulled it out right away.
In a notable response to the recent wave of layoffs impacting the gaming industry, Capcom is setting a positive example by significantly raising its starting salaries in Japan by more than 25%, elevating new graduate hires' pay from approximately $1,560 to $2,000 monthly starting in the 2025 fiscal year. This initiative extends to their current employees as well, who will see their salaries increase by an average of over 5% in the 2024 fiscal year, alongside receiving a one-time special bonus. This move not only aims to attract top talent, but also to invest in the existing workforce, reflecting Capcom's commitment to its employees' growth and well-being amidst challenging times. With successful titles like Street Fighter VI and the Resident Evil series under its belt, Capcom's focus on human capital investment is a beacon of optimism in the industry, demonstrating a profound commitment to its team's financial and professional development. This is cute. This is good. This is fun. I like this. We like Capcom. Not only because they recognize that living in 2024 is hard, right? Living in current life and society is hard and things are expensive, but because they know they've got money makers and they're doing the right thing with the money makers, which is giving their employees who make the money makers more money. Unlike other companies, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. And doing the right thing and putting their money where their mouth is. You know what I mean? So we like this. This is good. And I'm also a Resident Evil fan, so I also enjoy this.
Yeah, it's good news. It is still worth noting that while this is good, like glad to see that they have made an increase, it is still not anywhere near enough, but that is just the reality. I did a little Googling like with this one that they didn't mention. I think that in the wake of all these firings, we're just glad that anybody has a job at all. And so that is the good news. Right. But even still, this is dramatically below the average salary in Japan.
It is.
And so it needs to be better.
Still be.
Yes, but it should be celebrated that improvement is made, steps have been made. And I feel like Japan in general has a totally different culture and perspective on the workforce and on the willingness to support their workers and people that are coming in, even if
still more than I make a month. So you know what? Go
it's fascinating stuff. And yeah, good to see Capcom making investment in people. And that is what we like to see. And we want
that one was from Sneaky, by the way. Didn't say that. Should have said that. That one was from Sneaky.
Yes. Thank you to Sneaky for dropping some good news about the industry instead of more and more firings. With that, take it away for the next one.
More things. This one is from Humar Whittle, or Cam. Marvel Comics is amplifying its focus on Deadpool with the introduction of a unique blend of comic book and role-playing games experience titled Deadpool Roleplays the Marvel Universe, which honestly is the most fitting title for a Deadpool thing ever, in my opinion. Coinciding with the release of Deadpool and Wolverine in theaters July 2024, this innovative venture offers fans a mini-campaign that merges a traditional comic narrative with RPG elements. Crafted by Colin Bunn, I'm going to say Bunn, known for his work on Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe and Deadpool's Secret Wars, the standalone issue extends the Marvel Universe role-playing game introduced in August 2023. It allows players to embark on adventures as Deadpool and his squad, or utilize their characters in a story that integrates classic Marvel comics with interactive gameplay. Set for release on July 17th, 2024, this project not only enriches Deadpool's presence in Marvel's roster, but also introduces a novel way for fans to engage with the Marvel Universe. Alongside this, Marvel is revitalizing the Deadpool series with a new monthly comic and a Deadpool and Wolverine World War III team-up series, further expanding the Deadpool narrative landscape. I just picked this one because it's a tabletop.
We all knew. That's why
the only
this would
reason.
Be yours. And honestly, probably the same for Humar Whittill. Although I know that certainly Cam is a Marvel fan, but
yeah,
the TTRPG probably pushed him over the edge.
TTRPG book for that RPG. He's read the whole one for Candela. Helps me with the rules sometimes when we're playing that. So, but not in like a rude way, in like a nice way.
That's right.
Which
supportive
is very
DM
helpful.
friend. That's right.
Yes.
The best friend to have. It's good stuff. I'm excited to see anytime this happens. I like to see people tapping into the creativity of the artistic world, the storytelling world, and then bringing it into the tabletop world and allowing us to play with the stories. I think that is a sign of good faith for the fan base. And I like it. I like to see it. I like to see them leaning into the meme and allowing for us to tell our own stories in that world, because we're going to do it anyway. And Pokemon, please. Pokemon, please.
Like
please make a TTRPG. I want it so bad.
Marvel is really leaning into their fan fiction audience.
Yes, which is interesting to see, and I'm here for it. I'm curious about it. I want to see more, and see them continue to lean into it. Welcome in Sugar Haiku into the chat there as well. With that, that is all of our To the Discord news. Be sure to submit your Discord news next Monday over on our Twig News section of our Discord. We look forward to seeing what you got over there. But with that, we are going to get into my personal favorite segment of the show.
At this point in nerd history.
At this point in nerd history is where we look back on this exact day of March 12th throughout time and space to see what games, movies, tech, random bits of news, television shows, any of that kind of stuff that may have happened on this exact day throughout time and space. So we'll start with some games. In 2020, Neo 2 was released on this day. 2015, Mario Party 10 was released. 2014, Surgeon Simulator, I believe, first came to the iPad, if I recall correctly, which has since spawned on many a YouTube creator's career. 2004, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles was released in Europe for the GameCube, which brought back Square Enix to the Nintendo franchise. 1998, Yoshi's Story is released in America for the Nintendo 64, one that I did not enjoy. 1987, 3D World Runner, which I think was Square's first game back whenever they were still Squaresoft. I'm not sure about that. Don't hold me to it, but I think that was at least one of their very first few back in 1987. And then in 1976, Star Trek was released for the Altair 8800, which I always think is fun to hear all of those numbers coming after the console name when you don't even recognize what console they could have possibly been. Television, we only have one television fun fact this time. 1974, Wonder Woman debuted on ABC TV and then was later taken onto CBS TV. So 1974. With that, take it away with some movies and random facts for us, Mayfly.
Movies and random. I chose this section because in 2004, Agent Cody Banks 2, Destination London came out on this day. And that's mental because that was my childhood.
Yeah, I loved it.
So
I loved it because
say.
This was the era of like Nickelodeon and Disney shows where it was like, even Cars did it, where it was like, we have a sequel. What do we do? I know. Put British people in it.
Put British people in it. This was the time.
Good.
The early 2000s was the time for, we need a sequel. What do we do? Put British people in it. How the Lizzie McGuire movie was set in Italy. Same thing.
Yep.
Right? Yep. We have Lizzie McGuire. She's in America. What do? put her in Europe or another country or something. You know,
Yeah.
they just did it.
Go somewhere
Disney just
really
did it.
exotic where there are also pasty white people. That was the
was
the premise of these.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, Agent Cody Banks, y'all. Okay,
And I formatted this one
day,
weird. Yeah, Secret Window also
Secret
came out.
Window also came out that day. I wasn't gonna forget. I knew it was
Good.
there.
Well, I
just
formatted it
really
differently than I
hyped for
normally
Agent
do.
Cody Banks. Okay, I was just really hyped for that one. I also have just recently noticed, although I've been on Twig about 10 times now, that you do these in reverse chronological order.
I do. We're going back in time.
We're going back in time,
It's
which
so
is funny
fun.
because I just noticed it. Random iPad babies were born in 2010 for the first time. As in the US, Apple began taking pre-orders for the iPad. In 1994, the Church of England ordained its first women priests. There we go. 1987, Les Miserables opened on Broadway. That's not as cool as the West End, but close enough. 1994, Coca-Cola was sold in bottles for the first time, which I still see plenty of those unopened bottles at antique stores today, which is fun. And in 1789, the U.S. Post Office was established, and I bet they could at least get mail to you on time back then.
No promises. No promises. Depending on how the horse was feeling that day. Yeah, those were some cool ones. These were some very cool ones that came out, and some neat stuff going on. I did want to note, of course, Church of England ordaining its first women's priest is huge and cool and very fun. And we love to see it. But there was some good stuff. Good stuff happens on March 12th, apparently. I don't know what it is about this day, but this was a pretty jam-packed one with some fun things.
It's the Agent Cody Banks, really, honestly.
It was Cody Banks,
yeah,
which I believe Frankie Muniz is now a NASCAR driver, if I recall correctly.
Something like that, yeah. So, Frankie Muniz has really had a whole big career.
Go figure. Go figure. I don't know what's going on there, but that's
short king, honestly.
He really is. He really is. Okay, well, that is our nerd history. Do let us know if any of those piqued your interest or your attention. I see Hunter Fam Mom was taken in by Les Mis, and I like to see it. Yeah. We're going to get in now to our next segment of the show. That's right. It's time for upcoming releases. We used to do every single thing that comes out in the next week, but instead this time we are just going to be doing 3 each. I only see one for you, Mayfly. Do you just have one, or do you have 3 that you just didn't post?
So I have the main one, and I genuinely don't know what else is happening in the world. So it's really just that one.
Gotcha. So you got one big one. Okay. Well, then I'll shotgun through my 3, and then we can do your big one.
You just go as quick or as slow as you want.
The first one is we are getting a new game from Digital Eclipse. If you have not heard of Digital Eclipse, you should check them out. They are doing some really cool stuff in the world of game-umentaries, where they're making games that are also documentaries. And so they're making one called Lamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. I don't know what that's a reference to. I don't know who Jeff Minter is. I don't know what Lamasoft is, but it's going to be a game-umentary, and I really enjoyed their last one, and so I want to know more. So Digital Eclipse, check them out. I also was recommended this game forever ago by H-Man or B-Surfer, depending on what platform you're on, to play Buckshot Roulette, which is an indie game that looks a lot like Inscription, but does not play like it at all. And they are getting their official release. So they've been in early access, but their official release is this week. And then doggone it, I am so excited for each new episode of Shogun. I'm just going to shout it out one more time because Shogun is so good. I'm so into it. And every single new episode I am eagerly anticipating. So good stuff there. But now, Mayfly, I know that Humar Whittle also wanted to talk about this. So let's hear it.
Yes.
What is going on?
So, for those of you who don't know me and don't know, I am a Critical Role junkie. I have so much merch and all of the things. And Campaign 2 is my favorite, and I'm running Candela Obscura as a GM for a group of 5 out of the 6 maximum players the game can have. And this week, they are doing a beta for their new tabletop, which is crazy because Candela just released last year. But they're doing a new beta for a new game called Daggerheart, a new tabletop called Daggerheart. and that is running this week for launch in 2025. But the reason I put it on my upcoming, this week list thing is because the beta's this week. And so they're testing rules this week, and people are playing it this week, and they're playing it live this week, and it's very exciting, and I'm very happy and pumped, and it makes me want to run more things that I definitely don't have the time to run and GM for. So it's very exciting.
I love it. I love to see it. So yeah, I know that I follow or I subscribe to Critical Role on YouTube, and I saw them post a lot about this. So now I have some frame of reference for what's going on, and that's very exciting.
Very exciting. I'm interested to get more into the rules and see how complex it is compared to Candela, because Candela, Cam will tell you it's something. Yeah, Candela hype. There you go. It's something for sure.
I love it. I love it. I love that there's the TTRPG world just continues to get deeper and broader and interest more people, and I'm excited to see the future of it. So that's good stuff. Well, I think that is worthy of all three there, and we are then going to get into our final segment of the show. So here we go. Maybe. Meme of the week. All right, it's time for our meme of the week. This one takes a little bit of explaining. Long story short, or as short as I can get it, every first and third Sunday of the month, we have a thing called Mana and Mingle and DLC, respectively. And during those times, we take communion together because we are a church community online. And we also just have a good time hanging out, talking about the Bible, going through some studies, talking with interesting people. All sorts of good things happen during those times. But in the last one of our members that was there, Twyla, was in VR and happened to be exploring the video game Banjo-Kazooie in a VR world. And so I wanted to share this bit of the story. They also happened to be in the world of Banjo-Kazooie while we took communion. And so I decided to celebrate that on my Facebook page and say, last night we received communion at the base of Spiral Mountain from Banjo-Kazooie. And then I wrote a longer post explaining a little bit about that story. But I thought Grammarly did a hilarious job trying to rephrase what I was saying. And instead of saying that it was the base of Spiral Mountain from the video game Banjo-Kazooie, they wanted me to say, last night we received communion from Banjo-Kazooie at the base of Spiral Mountain. And it's so good. All I want now is a t-shirt of Banjo with like a Eucharist cup and like the broken bread. I need it. So a funny circumstance taken on by Grammarly trying to make me say something more heretical than I was already saying. So no thanks for that, Grammarly, but thanks anyway. So if you would like to be considered for our meme of the week, use our Memes and Goofs channel over on our Discord if that hasn't been spammed enough during this episode. !Discord in the chat. That's where we're hanging out 24/7. It's where we're going to go after this stream is over, which is where we are about to head. So be sure to join our Discord as soon as this stream ends, which is going to be after this next little bit. We are all going to hop over in the Discord, go to a channel and play some games together until around 11 tonight. And so that would be the great thing to do, to come and continue hanging out with us. Especially, I did see our friend there, Kilty Rex, had some questions about what is checkpoint. And as much as I would love to tackle that right now, I would be more enjoy it to have a conversation with you over in the Discord and explain a little bit about what we are and what we're about. And that would be a cool opportunity to partake in. But before we get to the end of the show, because again, this is going to be the end of the stream and we are going to hop over to the Discord, I want to give our special guest, Mayfly, a chance to say, where are you? Where do you want people to go to find what you're doing or any of those sort of things? Or what do you want to shout out?
I will always shout out Baldur's Gate 3 and Critical Role. And I am only ever existent on the Discord at some times when I'm not working. That
sounds good. That's where you are. That's what you're doing. I mean, that sums it up pretty well. I think we could have a Mayfly impersonator come on in a future episode. And I think they do a pretty good job, at least with that portion of the show. They would know you well enough.
D&D, Baldur's Gate 3. And that's pretty much it.
That's pretty
much it.
They
just gotta talk about that. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, if you'd like to hang out with Mayfly more, I have a feeling that she'll be hanging out with us tonight over in our channel. So you can continue hanging out with her and get to pick her brain on all things BG3 if you want to talk about dirge runs or any of that stuff. But we are going to wrap this show up. This has been Twig, your weekly family news show delivered live on twitch.tv/Checkpoint Church every single week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one, so remember to give us a 5-star on your podcast app. Click that like button and recommend this show to all of your favorite nerds. We want to take just a second to thank all of our subscribers that do help this make the show possible and all the things happening at Checkpoint Church possible. So thank you to Rain Plus Cat, Checkpoint Church, Bweesh, Nerd Pastor Nate, X Mayfly, Twilight 27, Wise and Lemur, Sugar Haiku, Elias Raven, Deacon Shannon LS, Hman 1009, Splashforce Gaming 2, Zando Calrissian, The Toric, Mindful Marlena, Tina Christina P, Sneaky Pig 633, Pineapple Pope 4, Strange Done, Maybe 30 Bats, Perspective, Jate Live, Yakeem 4752, and most recently, Trombone Dalek. Last question, is there Twig next week? Yes, there will indeed be Twig next week. So we'll be live next Tuesday night. I don't remember who our special guest is. It's maybe Sneaky. I want to say Sneaky, but we'll find out when we get there. And with that, we're going to end the show as we always do with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, hate church, no matter what, we still believe these 3 things to be true about, absolutely true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's what we're doing here. That's why we have a nerdy news show. It's why we're in these spaces, because we want this community. And number 3, we believe that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, and until the next time that I see ya, whether it be for Twig next week, whether it be on our YouTube channel watching other videos, or whether it be on Discord right now in a channel, I look forward to seeing you then. Till next time, bye-bye!